everybody. Welcome back to KO Airbrushing Tutorials. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go into the Roman soldier that we had talked about at the end of the how to put a story into your art tutorial that I did last. By the end of that, I had kind of come up with a Roman soldier, you know, and we were talking about all his accessories and his gear and stuff like that, right? So I drew one up. I started cutting the stencils and everything for it, doing the background so that we can just go into doing him. But I want to show you the quick, just a quick go through of the process that I did with the background stencils, and then we'll just carry on from there. All right. Okay, so this is the design that I kind of came up with here, and we're just going to play around with this. This is going to be a fairly quick one, so I didn't go into a huge amount of detail in the background or anything as of yet. Once I get this piece of the stencil laid back on, I will actually go in and do some more detailing and stuff in here. So it's a Roman soldier. He's got his shield, he's got his sword. In the background there's some mountains and an aqueduct. So what I did first is, the stencil was one piece, obviously. I cut along the top edge line and to basically lay in the mountains. But the first thing I did was I laid in the sky color. So there's your sky color. Then I took out this mountain, darkened them in a little bit at the top. Then I took out this mountain, put this one back in, took this one out, did the same thing over here, and kept working my way down. And then I went back up and I did the aqueduct. So there is actually just a, and I'm not detailing out the background on this very much. So here you can see how I had to cut the stencil to lay in all the layers in the background. This is a sword, which is behind his head. He's looking at you and he's getting ready to take you out. So I've cut all of this apart and then I tape it back together again. A lot of people ask me why I don't use more than one stencil, and the reason being is that I hand cut my stencils when I'm doing pieces like this, because I only ever do the piece once, right? I might do the skull again, but I've got that in my computer so I can hand cut that again. The main reason I do that is because when you hand cut your stencil and you use a second set, basically, it's almost impossible to get your cuts in the same place. Where this way, if you take the time and you put your stencil back together again, then everything lines up exactly where it's supposed to be. So here in the background, I've got the aqueduct laid in. So it's behind this hill going into the background. But on this one here, it's going to be in front of this hill. So I've still got a little bit of work left to do in there, but it's coming towards you, coming down the hill. I do want to add some more detail in this area. So probably what I'm going to do is like rough in a Roman road, and we'll paint the Roman road in. Detail out the sword. That's going to be the next thing before I actually do anything more in him. The only thing I did in him is I did cut out the shadows for his eyes and behind his teeth and his nose. That was the only thing that I've actually done on him so far. So we will carry on with cutting out the helmet, laying in him, the background piece in the helmet. He's got his cloak on and the armor in here and that. So that's going to be the next thing we're going to start working on, is going to be this part in the armor. Because you work it from the back to the front. So this is the farthest away, then this piece, then they start working backwards again. So you want to take out this piece here and then take out the piece in his shoulder here. But the very first thing we have to do is go back in and finish up that Roman road, and then detail out his sword before we get to him. So I'm going to separate all these stencils and get them ready to go, and I'll be right back. We'll carry on. So I went ahead, I cut some more stencil. So what I've done is I've removed this piece here for the most rear piece of armor. Also cut down here for this piece. This area here in between him and the shield in the background, I did lay in a Roman road that curves around. And I've cut the piece out to lay in that center highlight in the sword. I did actually lay the first piece of gray into this piece of armor. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to shade out the edge of the eye, put a shadow in from the top piece down, but I also want to add some texture into that piece now, because this is actually a piece of the skull, so I want to put some texture in there because that can start being shaded even before I get to this piece over here. Like, so I'm working my way from the back to the front. So I just want to add a little bit of texture to the bone in here. And I want to lay the texture in on the bone before I actually start shading this piece, because the texture has to be shaded as well. So there we go, we got some good texture there in the bone. So what I'm laying in here is just the shadow from the helmet and the chin, or the cheek protectors. And then I just want to darken that piece up a little bit more. There we go. And then, like I said, I want to darken the edge of the eye. A little more. There we go. That's what I wanted, just like that. Okay, and then this piece down here, just want to lay in some shadows along the edge of the shield. shadow along that edge because it's underneath that other piece of steel there. And then here the same thing, we need a bit of a shadow here because it's under his cloak. And there you have to rotate the shadow out, because as you're rotating the shadow out, that's showing that that piece of armor is curving and getting farther away from the shield. There we go. I'm actually going to darken this spot up a little bit more. And so now I need white to go into here. If anybody has any suggestions for other tutorials in the future, airbrush tutorials obviously, feel free to let me know, because I'm always looking for ideas for tutorials to help people out. I'm also going to be launching my website here in the next few days. There might not be anything on, like much on it to start with, but it will come together. I want to get that up and running before I have to move too, because in 2 months we have to move. Okay. That worked. Okay, now we just got this piece of armor down at the bottom. This is just a medium light gray. And for anybody that hasn't checked it out yet, I also have my live feed over on my page on Facebook, which is called the Vamps Lounge, Airbrushing After Dark. If anybody's interested in checking that out, I'll put the address and the links below the video. We have a lot of fun over there. And normally that's where I do all my commission work. So if you're interested in seeing what I'm doing for customers, that's a good place to come visit. Lots of good artists hang out over there. We have a good time. And then we also started a group on Facebook called the Vamps Lounge, Airbrushing Art Asylum. I will also put links to that below the video. So if anybody's interested in getting into a really, really good art group over there, and as I said, the title is the Airbrushing Art Asylum, so it's not just about airbrushing, it's about all art. Okay, so that's everything I need to do on that level with stencils. Everything else now will be done freehand. So I'll just remove the stencils for you guys, show you where we're at. I'll have to cut another level now, so the next level will be the next layer of armor here. This piece of armor. Probably start working on the top edge of his helmet, bottom edge of his helmet. Actually, his face is going to have to be pretty quick here. So it's going to be that piece of armor, this piece of armor, his chin plate maybe. Anyway, that's how it's going to work. You just have to basically work your way to the front when you're using stencils like this. And just be careful because you don't want to use the stencils too far in, because once you get too far, and then everything looks stenciled, right? So that's one of the things that we're going to do with this piece. Is I'm going to show you how I approach getting to the point where nothing looks like a stencil when you're done. And that does make a huge difference in the final piece. So I'm just going to take all these magnets off again for you guys. Yay. So you can see what's going on. These are great magnets, but sometimes they stick too good. And you can see how I've got magnets holding down every piece that we were painting, right? I invested in a lot of these magnets because I use them all the time, and I use a lot of them. Oops. What else is going on? Oh yeah, I got I also have a bunch of artwork for sale as well, if anybody's interested in anything. I'm posting pictures on my Facebook page and everything right now. once the website goes up, a lot of the paintings will be, well, all of the paintings and stuff will be on there that are available. Prints, all that kind of stuff. Stencil sets, because I'm looking at making a stencil set of this guy, for example. Okay, so now we've got his first piece of armor in. We got his first piece of armor in here with the shadows and everything. Now we've got his eye in. Like I said, I did lay in the Roman road. Now we've got that highlighted piece across the center of his sword. His shield will be done in the Roman red with the gold. So there's still quite a bit of color to go into this as well yet. In that way, there'll be red in his cloak that he's wearing. So we'll just keep carrying on with this and see where it ends up taking us. And like I said, this is all from the previous tutorial where we were talking about the story behind the art, and this is kind of where I ended up after talking about that particular topic. So I figured I would just do what we ended up coming up with and see how it ended up turning out. It's just, yeah, it's a good way of doing things where you can kind of, you know, just pick a genre, pick a subject, and, you know, go do something, have fun. So anyway, okay, I'm going to end this tutorial here. I'll get some more stencils cut and I'll start working on the next part of the tutorial, which, like I said, is going to be the rest of his armor. Needs to be done first. And then into his helmet, finish up his sword. So that's what we'll work on next. I will get all the stencils cut and ready to go, and I'll start a new tutorial. Alright everybody, thank you for watching KO Airbrushing and Design Tutorials, and we'll be back with another one really soon. Thank you. Bye.